It's Tuesday, January 14th, and I'm with Robert Cassard. Robert, great you could join us. Robert is a co-founder of Voodoo Viral, and he's going to talk to us today about his or their go-to-market strategy. Robert, why don't we start off by, tell us who Voodoo Viral is, what you do, or who you sell to, and kind of what makes it special.
Sure. Voodoo Viral Marketing Systems is our full name. That's okay. No, not a problem. We go by Voodoo Viral all the time. Our tagline is automated video communications made easy. And that's actually kind of a new tagline for us. We've been focusing in on what makes us different over the past few years. We've actually been around for about 7 years. And from our perspective, it's almost like everything we've been through so far has been a beta phase. We built the business from some really killer video communication strategies and a lot of video production experience. So we had those two things, and we actually built our platform to maximize the impact of video content, figure out ways to make it more personal so that a single video could be applied through a number of different representatives, for example, but always retain a personal touch. Over the years, we've developed a full version of our app, which is pretty much akin to a marketing automation app. We've also developed a light version that's designed specifically for channel partner use, for example. If you have a group of people who you don't want to need to go through a long learning curve, you can give them this light app and they can fire it up right away and send a campaign in a few minutes. And in terms of content, I guess the only thing I would say about automated video communications is that our system doesn't require a company to use video. They're actually able to pump almost any type of online content through the system and track it and measure it. But we're big believers in video, and we really think that's where a lot of the magic happens.
And tell us who you sell to, Robert. Who are your target customers?
Well, it's interesting because that's changing. Initially, I would say we sold to anybody who was interested in using our product. We were non-discriminatory, and because of that, we have ended up with one or more clients in a very wide variety of verticals. So that's been an interesting thing, and I think one of the things I would touch upon as we talk about our current go-to-market strategy is how we're narrowing that focus. When I look across our client list now, we have such a wide variety. We have B2C customers that are in consumer products, and they've got Voodoo tied in, for example, to their e-commerce systems, and very successful using Voodoo to nurture their client base and foster repeat sales, things like that. We have a bunch of B2B customers that seem to fall loosely in an IT and telecom kind of emphasis. For some reason, the technology companies seem to understand what we're about and why our technology is important in their sales process and customer nurturing. So we have quite a few in that area. More and more, I think that is becoming a very prominent focus for us. That group they know what we're about, and we have a lot of expertise in that area.
No, that's great. Okay, well, and that's a nice segue. And let's talk about your. Why don't you describe your go-to-market strategy for us, and just give us a sense for how you're kind of focusing in and what that looks like.
Sure. Well, I mentioned that we've been focusing in a number of different ways. One of them is for us to actually understand what it is that makes us different. We've gone through a really exhaustive competitive analysis in the past few months to really understand what is the competition doing. And what we realized was, for all the marketing automation platforms out there, the email marketing platforms, the survey platforms, etc., almost nobody talks about video. So that's an interesting fact that surprised us. We expected to see a lot about video, and we didn't find it anywhere other than a video hosting platform, which obviously is going to talk about that. So helping us understand that video was a real asset for us, and it was one of the ways that we were different. Another thing we discovered was that a lot of companies suffer from what I call video phobia. They just presume that video is going to be expensive, it's mysterious, it's kind of like the black box. And so it's underutilized, and it can play a much larger role at almost any business, whether it's small or large, than it normally is. So that was important for us to understand that the video enhanced digital marketing was going to be something we were going to really push. The other thing is that we realized that when Voodoo is implemented properly, and by that I mean strategic video tied into business processes, tied into the Oracle database for orders and shipping, or maybe tied into Salesforce or a CRM or whatever, it's kind of like the ultimate growth hack for a business, because video has such communication power that when you insert it into a process and you make sure that no stone is left unturned, it tends to really take off. So we're applying that concept of growth hacking that we do for clients routinely to ourselves this year. And that's one of the main differences. And we're finally willing to fly out from under the radar. I mentioned we've been in beta. We kind of feel like we're ready for prime time.
That's great. Well, that makes sense. How's it going? I mean, you've begun to kind of focus in. Just in a few sentences, tell us kind of what's working, where you think you need to tweak stuff. How's your go-to-market strategy playing out?
Yeah, right now, I was trying to boil this down and to say, what are our emphasis? Where will the emphasis be this year? And I came up with 5 things that I think are the thrust. And I'm not going to go all specific on you and say, oh, we're going to use this app for that or whatever. But I think it's important. I mentioned differentiation already. That was a huge focus for us. It's allowed my whole team, whenever they communicate in any form, to know exactly who we are. So being able to say, automated video communications made easy, boom, done. People understand it right away. So that's been important. A second thing that we're doing is deploying the proof of concept, more than proof of concept, proof of efficacy for across the board with our clients. So, we've been spending this 7 years, we've been listening, learning, tweaking this platform to give businesses exactly what they want and need. So we've got a boatload of powerful case studies, and we're really leveraging those. I've been going through a process of interviewing real-world users of the system, and we have a strong desire to use the power of testimonials this year. So that's, we know that when you have a customer talking peer-to-peer with the person who's thinking about the platform, it pretty much sells itself. Third thing is integration. You have a little bit of history about us, Hugh. We've toyed with integration with CRM for a long time, and this is the year we're actually pulling the trigger. We are inches away from our integration with Salesforce.com. We're just about to announce it at the end of the month. So that's a big one. Integration, I think, is something that for any software company, looking around and saying, who are the players, who are they connected to, how can we benefit, and how can the customer honestly benefit from us integrating? So we got serious about that. I mentioned a vertical focus. We're very much narrowing our focus in the marketing arena from talking to everybody horizontally. Because let's face it, any business could benefit from this, right? It's not rocket science, but it's something that can really help them. We just said, let's focus in on telecom this year and really leverage the experience we have and give them what they want. And that makes a lot of things easier. It narrows the ad buy and everything else. Last thing, yes, our fifth would be viral referrals. It's right in our name, Voodoo Viral Marketing Systems, right? We are always counseling our own customers about how to develop sustained virality in any campaign. The urge to share is sometimes what I call it. And so we're going to our customers and we're leveraging their customers to find them new customers. So what we're doing is in our platform, the growth hacking strategies are built right in. In our case, we're going to leverage the same growth hacking techniques for us. So we're actually installing built-in mechanisms right inside our platform to encourage our users to help us find new customers. And I have little doubt that the platform itself and video content that it contains is going to evolve into almost like a sales team for us. So the cobbler's children will have shoes. That's fantastic. We have been walking around in the snow for quite some time.
So listen,
That's not uncomfortable.
that's a great summary and very interesting. So to wrap up, one last question for you.
Sure.
As you think back over the last few years and being in a 7-year beta mode,
Yes.
what's the sort of biggest takeaway you've had from bringing a product, an enterprise or a B2B, well B2B and B2C product to market, web based, a lot of content. What would you do differently, or what's really struck you? Kind of give me the one takeaway.
I think being willing to make mistakes and learn from the customer is the number one thing for me. And the reason that's so important is that we've found that customers are incredibly forgiving, even if you're learning alongside them, as long as they know you care about them. And we show our caring every day, but that willingness to listen to a customer and say, no, we don't know how to do that, or we've never done that before, and then to work the miracle and come back to them and say, but here you go, we just did it for you. We've built such incredible customer loyalty. That's one of the reasons that I love the job, is to have that kind of involvement. So be willing to make mistakes, and if you do, I think at the end of the day, you're going to end up with a polished gem of a system. I really believe 2014 is going to be a very different year for Voodoo for that exact reason.
Robert, that's great. And that's a great way to sum things up, and a great lesson for all of us. Hey, thanks for taking time with us. It's Robert Cassard with Voodoo Viral. And Robert, we look forward to see how things shake out this year.
Thanks, Hugh. Always a pleasure.